Welcome, Drink with James, episode 81. Episode 1 of 2018. I need a refill here. You'll notice things have changed around here at 4Card. We recently had, we haven't fallen on hard times, and that's why we're drinking whiskey out of jugs. We had a New Year's party and drank 19 bottles of whiskey at the party. There's a few left over that are in these laughably large whiskey containers, which brings me to a point. I don't know if we've touched on this recently, but I am more than happy to accept all of the free alcohol that you guys want to send me. Tim can throw the address up here somewhere, or you can just email us for the address, and you can send whiskey and then I'll drink it. It's a very simple relationship that works really well. So please feel free to send me whiskey. Don't send me gin, vodka, rum, any of that shit. You can send me whiskey or expensive tequila. So we're back. 2018 should be a big year for influencers, hopefully, for all of us involved. No one shits the bed and screws this whole thing up because it's going quite well. So if we could just keep growing, that would be great for everybody. Do you have any questions for me, Tim? Anything else I should talk about?
What have you been up to on your break?
Right. So, we closed the office for 10 days because I'm a caring and understanding and fair boss. What did I do? I didn't do a lot. It was freezing in New York City. I slept like 10 hours a day, which was great. I went to Lake George, which was freezing. It was like -14 in the mornings. So I didn't really do a whole lot there. I just kind of sat inside looking at the temperatures saying, wow, it's really cold here. And then I was anxiously awaiting coming back to the office. So I'm happy that we're back. We lived through the whatever the fuck they're calling that storm, the bomb cycle.
Bomb cyclone.
The bomb cyclone. I thought I might have gotten a little bit of frostbite on my hands yesterday shooting some snow portraits for the 4Card team. But it's been a pretty chill break. I think I was ready to just exhale and do nothing. So that's kind of what I did, which is difficult for me, but it was good.
Walk us through your look today. We haven't seen this look in
the
first 80 episodes of Drink with James.
Right, this is a new look. This is actually an LL Bean, what they call the chamois shirt. They made this shirt in 1933 the first time, essentially unchanged here. I had to get an extra small because it's LL Bean and they're sized for normal Americans, I guess. So this is an extra small. I'm 6'1". I shouldn't be wearing an extra small. It's technically a shacket, which is a term that some people hate, some people love. I like a shacket. And a turtleneck. It's like 13 degrees in New York, and I was not trying to wear a suit today. So this is what you get. Okay, let's get into it. Somebody asked a question. They see like luxury influencers posting non-luxury items saying, I love this so much I can't live without it. Is that real? Is that bullshit? Is that the right way to go about a collaboration? That is a good question. The answer isn't so simple. I understand why mass market brands work with luxury influencers, right? Well, look, I usually wear fairly expensive clothes, right? Oh, I was touching the microphone, I think. I usually wear expensive clothes. I like expensive things. I don't shop at mass market retailers because I'm a terrible snob, and I would rather buy 3 things a year and have them be really expensive than buy 3 things a month and have them be cheap and shitty. That said, I'm wearing an LL Bean shacket today. I'm wearing a Uniqlo turtleneck. This whole upper part of my look costs half as much as the hat that I'm wearing. So I think that my point is for mass market brands, if they can work with a luxury influencer that is authentically a fan of the brand and uses it, and they say, hey, y'all, you know I spend a lot of money on stuff, but here's this thing that I actually really love that's cheap, or rather affordable, you should go buy this. Then I think that that's a great story for a brand to be a part of. It is sometimes difficult to believe it, right? If you're using $100 moisturizers usually, and then all of a sudden you turn around and say, hey, I love Jergens, it's $3, I use it every day, and it's like, well, I've never actually seen that you do that, and it comes off maybe as a little less authentic. So while I do think that for mass market retailers, it can be a good strategy to work with influencers who speak to a luxury audience, because for most of us, nobody is buying all just expensive shit, right? There are things that you don't need to spend a lot of money on. You guys know I'm a Thom Browne fan, but I wear mostly Uniqlo dress shirts with my Thom Browne suits because Thom Browne makes a nice Oxford shirt, but it's $500 fucking dollars, and I can essentially get the same exact thing at Uniqlo for $19.99. And especially with white shirts, I'm burning through 6 white Oxfords a year just from sweating, and so why spend $500 if I can kind of get by with $19.99? So I think for all of us, even if you're a fan of luxury items, you are looking for a deal, and so it does make sense to work with those people. The thing is, I think you need to actually be a legitimate fan of it. I talk about the fact that I wear Uniqlo dress shirts and that I think that Uniqlo Oxfords are the best deal in the world. So it doesn't come as a total surprise. Not saying I'm an influencer, but I'm saying for those influencers, and when we're building a program like this, we do try and find, if we're going to work with somebody who's going down market, so from luxury to mass, we try and find someone who has talked about that brand before organically so that it won't come off as a big surprise. And that's a lesson to all of you out there. If you want to jump from either down market or up market, let's say you usually just talk about mass brands, but you want to talk about a luxury brand, or you just talk about luxury brands, you want to talk about a mass brand, and you're going to do a collaboration, or you want to do more collaborations with mass brands in your luxury, I would encourage you to start organically including those brands into your post and talking about it so that it doesn't come off as a complete surprise. Because if you can get that backlash of being hey guys, I want to talk about Old Navy today, and everyone's like, wait, what are you talking about? You only talk about Chanel, why are you talking about Old Navy? This doesn't make any sense to me. So anytime you're doing something like that, you're changing your focus or shifting your focus a little bit. Make sure you kind of tease it out a little bit before trying to monetize it. The second question is, how can you provide value to a brand if you're just a small micro-influencer? I think that, one way is obviously just consistently giving them coverage, things like that. But I think to really get someone's attention for a brand, especially a brand that's getting a lot of content, a lot of tags from not only influencers, huge influencers, but consumers and micro-influencers as well. How do you stand out? I would think that, let's say it's Reformation, right? We'll just take a random brand. Let's say it's Reformation, and God knows how many tags they get a day. And if a Mariana Hewitt or something Navy, someone huge tags that brand, they're gonna notice it, right? They're gonna notice it. The marketing team will probably send it around to the company. They'll feel really good about it. They'll send her and they'll send that influencer a note, thank you so much. They might slide into the DM, whatever. So that, once you get to a certain scale of following, the content doesn't have to be that creative for a brand to take notice and be like, ooh, thank you so much. For a smaller influencer, if you have 10,000 followers and you post about a brand and you tag them, they're one of 3 brands that you tagged, the brand is not going to really pay any attention to that. Even if you're talking about them in Insta stories or something, it's probably rare that they're going to really take notice of it if it's a larger brand. So I would think what you would need to do if you wanted to get that brand's attention and you wanted to provide value was create content that is exceptional, do something very different, do something very creative that would get their attention, that would look different than the other content that gets tagged in their feed all of the time. Because, again, if you're a brand and you get 100 consumers tagging you a day, and let's say you're a fashion brand and 99 of those are going to look pretty similar, it's going to be somebody wearing an outfit, then how do you differentiate yourself? If you can't differentiate yourself by the size of following you have to do it by the type and quality of content that you produce. So if you're trying to get attention, that's how I would do it as a micro. Do something different, do something exceptional that gets them to take notice and say, oh, this is really interesting. Or just be super consistent. You know, I mean, my example with like Stetson is like, you guys know I love this hat. I talked about it all the time on Insta stories. I tagged it in my Instagram. You know, after doing that for a month or two, they would start to like throw me a heart in my DMs when I posted something. And then, you know, Jamie Beck took a photo of me wearing it that they really liked and they reposted it. But like that was, you know, that was months of consistently posting, consistently talking about the brand before they kind of like were like, hey, who the fuck are you? What are you doing? Hi. So being consistent can be another way, you know. So posting on Instagram consistently is difficult if you're a full-time if you're a full-time influencer. So certainly difficult if you're not. And this is, you know, something I struggled with earlier in the year, is that, you know, I spend 10 to 12 hours a day sitting in this office, and I walk the same, 8 blocks from my apartment in Lower East Side to our office in Soho every day, and I drink in the same 4 bars and go to the same 5 restaurants essentially in New York City. So it gets to a point where like you don't have a lot of stuff to share, and you're too busy, and you're sitting in an office all day, and that's not that's not really all that interesting to your followers potentially. And back when I had more of a following, my life was so much different. I was traveling constantly just to be taking photos. I was shooting projects for people. I was thinking every week, who can I shoot? What can I shoot? What content can I create? Kind of very different mindset. So, I found Michelle and the Michelle Take Aim Challenge, and if you haven't seen Michelle's episode, you should definitely watch it. Tim will link it. But I found that to be really helpful because her whole thing was like, just take a photo with your iPhone, publish it in the moment. You don't need a lot of time. I did that for a month or so, and I was spending maybe 5 minutes on it. I would grab someone from the office and be like, hey, can you take a photo of me? I was out to a meeting with someone. I was like, hey, could you snap a quick photo? So you can do it very easy and off the cuff. You can just say like, I'm just gonna publish every day. And like, if you're not trying to like do this big editorial shoot, that should only take a couple of minutes. I have asked strangers to take my photo. Like I was in Miami with NetJets, and I was on a run, and it was this beautiful sunset, and I just asked this random guy, like, I went up and I was like, hey, this is actually super embarrassing, but could you take a photo of me as I run away from you? Like, hold it just like this, okay, yep, and just like keep pushing that button and I'm gonna run. And he was happy to do it. And like, yeah, it's kind of embarrassing to do that, but I remember in the episode with a guy named Patrick, he said he does that all the time. He just asks strangers to take his photo. And like, if you have an idea about what you want, you can hand your phone to anyone and be like, just click this. So it can be done, and it can only take 5 minutes. And everybody has 5 minutes a day to post something. So I would encourage you to do that. The other thing is you can kind of create a thing that you do, like it could be a mirror. Like I take mirror selfies in the mirror in my apartment in the morning on Insta stories a lot. And like, it's not a thing I consciously was like thinking is like a theme that I do, but then people will come over to my apartment and be like, oh, that's the like mirror from the mirror selfies. And like, you can do things that like are very easy, but they're very replicable. Like I was on something Navy's account today looking at something, and she takes photos in her bedroom in kind of the same place all the time, just with an iPhone. So you could do things like that as well, and just be like, this is where I take photos, and like, it's gonna take all the, like, it'll make it very easy for me to do it. EJ Sampson's another one. If you go to his account, he does this photo of like his, like upper, it's not his face, but it's his outfit, it's his tie, shirt, and jacket. And it's kind of the same exact angle. And so I think when he doesn't have something to post, he can just always post one of those, and it takes him 2 minutes. So there's ways to make it easier on yourself. And if you have a full-time job, I suggest you try and make it easier on yourself. The last thing I'll say is I know influencers, traditional kind of fashion influencers, a lot of times will shoot all their content for the week on the weekends. So if you have a friend who's a photographer or you have a tripod and a remote, you could shoot 5 looks in a couple of hours and you could be done for the week. So that's something else to consider as well. That's it, guys. You know, I'm excited to be back in the conference room. We had a big year last year. Tim, how much people watched 1 year and 110 days of Drink with James last year? The average watch time on these videos is 8 minutes. You know, this was just something Tim kind of wanted to do, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now. And it's been a huge driver of business. You guys have been super into it. It's been really fun for myself and Tim. So thank you for watching, and thank you for asking questions, and keep them coming. This industry changes month to month and day to day, and there's always new shit to talk about. So keep the questions rolling. Don't forget to send me whiskey. Hit me up if you're in New York. You can swing by the office. We can sit down and have a cup of coffee or something. Thank you. I'm out.